is not in the grant-making side, it's in the influencing side. So, straight from the card, how is your foundation leveraging its connections to high-level decision makers, parentheses, sphere of influence, to affect policy change in favor of the needs of individuals, families, and communities?
Great question. 20 years ago, I would not have thought possible what I now know has been possible in working with low-income fathers in South Carolina. The statistics tell us that single-family households in South Carolina, low income, are more likely to remain in poverty over life. They're going to have poor performance in the classroom. The kids are higher juvenile crime. There are a lot of indicators that make it an important issue. And when we started that 20 years ago as a funder, we were the only one really moving forward in that direction. And you fast forward 20 years, and we have now, we created the South Carolina Center for Fathers and Families, who've served over 100,000 men in the last 20 years. We created, through family court judges and policy work, alternatives to incarceration. So rather than taking a low-income father who has a low-paying job and locking him up for 3 months, and then he gets out and nothing has changed, we provide an alternative to incarceration where that father goes to a fatherhood program and gets job training, completes his GED, becomes receives parenting skills. And at the end of the day, last year, for example, the Center for Fathers Alternative to Incarceration program saved the South Carolina taxpayer $9.4 million in costs in deferring men who are not criminals, just can't pay their child support, to alternative programs. So that's policy work, I believe. It's multifaceted because it's ground level grant making and philanthropy, but it's also a higher level working within the institutions, the court administration, for example, to change things so it will help a lot of different people, including the taxpayer.
Thanks, Tom.
3 quick examples. Montana was debating whether or not to continue its Medicaid expansion, and Headwaters funded the study of an economic impact that the Medicaid program had in Montana, which created a very different dialogue around why it was important to continue the Medicaid expansion. So the role of funding research to inform better decision-making is one. Second, we have been partnering with our Department of Health and Human Services Secretary. Montana has had a lot of budget challenges. They have skinned back staff. They don't have the capacity to compete for federal grants. So we funded, in partnership with her, somebody at the University of Montana that is now their federal grant application writer. And in just the 6 months that we've been doing this, Montana has secured over $4 million in new federal grants that weren't there, and that's in partnership, lockstep with the Department of Health and Human Services. And the third is the role that I play in terms of building relationships with key policymakers. I meet with the governor, with our 2 senators, with our House of Rep member, as well as with my mayors and the local county commissioners, so that they can see Headwaters as a resource to the work that they're doing in terms of being able to gather good, important, unbiased, unpartisan information.
And just quickly, as a local funder, ours is much more direct. We host an elected officials breakfast every year. We invite every local elected official in the county, and we bring our grantees to share some of their exciting developments and needs and strategies with them. And then we also facilitate trips to the General Assembly in Raleigh. And if you know Rockingham County, you know we're served by the Senate Pro Tem leader. And so I coordinate, and my grants manager, we coordinate a group every 3 months to go. We make the appointment with our senator. We sit down. He's generous with his time. We sit down and we make sure that he knows what's going on in Rockingham County, that he knows what children and families and individual struggles are. And we hope that it influences his decision making.